I didn't learn how to do any kind of sound design for years. But you're gonna learn from my regrets. I'm gonna teach you a thing or two about putting beautiful sounds in your videos. It doesn't matter what kind of video you're editing, whether it's a talking head one like this, whether it's a cozy game with cozy vibes, or a horror game with horror vibes. There are loads of ways that you can spice up your audio tracks. Pretty much no matter what you're editing, you can apply these to your workflow. We're gonna break this down into dialogue, sound effects, and music, and I have a special tip for you at the end, so make sure you stick around for that. First up, dialogue. Making sure that dialogue stands out clear and crystal from background noise is crucial. The number one rule I like to follow when it comes to audio is to get as clean of audio at recording as possible. Because my audio for the most part here is clean, the only thing I really need to do is add a compressor. A compressor basically just takes the low volume and the high volume and brings them closer together so that it's not that large of a range. So this is large. I've been told this is large. Now, I don't know about other software, but in Premiere Pro, I like to designate my dialogue track as dialogue in the audio panel. This has some benefits in using some automatic tools like audio ducking and equalizer presets if you're into that. Now, I could make an entire video on just how to handle dialogue alone. I don't know if you're interested in that. Drop a comment down below if you are. Maybe we can talk about it in the future. Now let's talk sound effects. Sound effects are my personal favorite part of the entire sound process. Sound effects are one of those things that when you put them in a video, the audience doesn't really know that you did it, but they see it and they think, oh wow, that's a really high quality video. They're not really looking at it thinking, this editor used amazing sound design, but it will increase your production value. You may or may not have noticed that this video you're watching right now is full of sound effects. Primarily my goal with sound effects is visuals. If I bring a visual up on the screen like this right here, if it just shows up, it's kind of boring. But if I bring one up over here and it shows up with the sound effect, it actually has way more production value. And then if I want it to zip away and I just move it away, it's also kind of boring. But if we do it over here with the same thing with the pop, and then we send it flying with a sound effect, again, production value. Anytime you move something around on the screen, think, could this use the sound effect? For the most part, unless I've already got an animation that I'm working with, I try not to just bring visual items onto the screen without some kind of accompanying sound effect. This doesn't apply strictly to just visual items on the screen. For example, if I'm making a video where someone's typing on a computer, can I add keyboard sound effects? What if I'm clicking on something in a tutorial? Or what if I'm playing a game and I need to click on something with a lot of emphasis? I can add a clicking sound effect to bring it to life. Or in a recent game I played called Amanda the Adventurer, there's a lot of options where you have to actually type responses. Every time I need to type a response, what if I add keyboard sounds there? I find that meme sound effects can also be kind of fun, but those I tend to try not to overdo it on. I find they can get kind of annoying after a while, so don't overdo it. Or do it all the time. Do whatever you want. I'm not your father. At least I don't think. If you need B-roll for a video, you'll often find that it comes without an audio track at all. And that tends to be kind of boring, so it's always helpful to add something that you can work with. For example, here's a quick B-roll shot with no sound. And then here's a quick shot of the same thing with some sound effects I added in. Sometimes in gaming videos, I tend to use longer sound effects such as ambiances and approaches in situations where a game starts to get kind of tense. Well, in a horror game, while you're actively playing it, you may find the situation to be very tense. Your heart rate's racing, you're kind of nervous about what's about to happen. And that's because you're in the moment, your headphones are on, you don't know what's about to blast you out. But the person watching you play this game may not be feeling the same intensity because they're watching you be nervous. Sometimes we can add approach sound effects or ambiance sound effects to really add some stress to it, to really invoke emotion from the audience watching your video. If you can invoke emotion in a video, you've won. For example, look at this clip from a gaming video where it's kind of a tense moment without any sound added in. Did you move? I don't remember this. I would have seen this. And then here's one with some added to it. Did you move? I don't remember this. I would have seen this. Is this that thing that, oh, didn't we hear something loud earlier? Now you're probably wondering, but where do I get sound effects? You can find them online for free on tons of websites with all kind of licenses and requirements to use and whatever on websites like freesound.org. They typically have some stipulation that says if you use it in a video, you have to put it in the description, you have to put it in the credits, you have to give credits somewhere. Another option is subscription services such as Epidemic Sound, Artlick, and they typically charge you a monthly or annual fee. In exchange, you can use their sound effects at any point while that subscription is active without any kind of arbitration. If you want to try those out, I have an affiliate link down in the description. You can use that and get a free 30-day trial, or you can buy sound effects packs online, which I have done in the past. These sound effect packs usually will come in like theme packs, like cartoon sounds, outdoor sounds, text sounds. The idea is that you pay a big fee, you get a whole slew of sounds to use, and you don't have to give any credit. I personally like to pay for my sound effects because I don't want to load up a video description or credit with a bunch of credits for free sounds that I use. Also, it's not really a good look to walk up to a client after I edit a video for them and say, hey, here you go. Also, I used a bunch of free shit in this, so you're gonna have to put all of this in the credits. So basically, you have free options, but if you can swing it, I recommend just paying for something. Now let's get into background music. I'm not gonna dive hard into what kind of music I should use. You have your own taste, you know what you're making, you know what kind of music you need. Just find something. Just make sure you have the licenses for it. Don't go putting something that's copyrighted in a video for you or a client. We don't want you getting copyright striked and claimed and DMCA striked and slapped by some random person on the street. If you want to use a single song for a short part of a video or a huge part of a video, you can use the audio remix tool in Premiere to automatically shorten or lengthen it to whatever desire you want. You literally just go in here, you grab the tool, click and drag, and it will process it, give or take a few seconds for you. If you're not using Premiere, you can find a repeatable section of the song that you want to kind of repeat throughout your video, duplicate it over and over again, and then add a crossfade so that it kind of blends together seamlessly. Your video editing software will typically come with some kind of auto duck if you can specify what the dialogue is. You can set the audio track to be a music track, apply audio ducking, and then what that will do is any point where you're talking, it'll actually lower the music of the volume so that you're not talking over it. And then whenever you have a different shot on the screen that's not you talking, it brings it back to a louder level. Now for a video like this where I'm talking through the whole thing, like 99% of the video, it doesn't really do me any favors. But if you're doing a video that showcases something, or you're vlogging, or you have a whole bunch of b-roll to show off, or you're showing off some cool gadget, there's lots of use cases where audio ducking can come in handy. So even if you don't need it today, tuck it back there, you never know. My final tip is, let's talk about leveling all this audio out to a nice clean level. First, I'm going to impose a rule on you. Pay very close attention. Come here. Never, under any circumstances, ever go above 0 decibels. If you were working in a post-production house for some movie studio, you would get fired for this. A client who knows what they're looking for would never call you back again if you do this. When you push digital audio past 0 decibels, it clips it and it's not great. If you have trouble with this, put a hard limiter on the track of negative 0.5 decibels. Do something, just never go above 0. You'll notice that if you ever touch 0 on your editing software, it will scream at you and let you know. Now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about some levels. These are my starting points. For primary speakers, I like dialogue levels to be about negative 6 decibels. For sound effects, I want them to be around negative 12 decibels to negative 18, but I will go up to negative 6 if I'm not trying to talk over said sound effect. Background music is usually between negative 18 to negative 24 decibels, but I've had some loud tracks where I had to go all the way down to negative 32 decibels. These are just starting points. Depending on the quality of the audio, the loudness of the audio, the level it's recorded at, the gain, you'll have to mess around with it. You'll have to use your ear and decide what sounds good. But these are good starting points. Set these in motion, adjust it until it sounds good. Now that I've got you set on an audio, you're going to want to go over here and watch this video on why you should be using a proper editing codec in your video edits. Have a good one.